So this is our last video for chapter 9, and we just finished up talking about the three sociological perspectives and race and ethnicity, or the inequalities of race and ethnicity. And throughout this chapter, we've been specifically talking about the United States. But to end the chapter, now we're going to take it on a global level. So we're going to talk about global diversity, okay? So what is global diversity? Well, that is linked to immigration. So we have diversity because people move around. And why do people move around? Well, for a lot of reasons. Usually people immigrate because they're trying to escape something, whether it's poverty, war, whether it's trying to leave somewhere to try and seek a better life. Okay, so um, 3.3 of the world's population, or about 250 million people, are immigrants at any given time here in the world. Now, these statistic might be a little bit off. Remember, our book is a little bit dated, but that's only 3.3 of the world's population. So those are current immigrants. If we're looking here in the United States, we're a little bit unique because we are mostly immigrants. Remember, the only people that can say that they were truly here from the beginning are Indigenous Americans, the Native American, the American Indian. Those are people who are the true owners or original people of our country. So we are all immigrants. We have come from somewhere. But when I give that statistic, those are people who have recently immigrated. So that's 3.3% of the world's population. So the United States and Western Europe, they attract the most immigrants. Why is that? That's because our economy is doing well. We have jobs that are available to them. Well, here in the United States, most of the jobs that people have that are immigrants are jobs that other Americans don't want to do. It's low wage work, usually very hard work. Think about the migrant workers. Think about the things you eat every day. The only way that those fruits and vegetables get to your table usually is due to migrant workers. Think about the last time you maybe have stayed in a hotel room, or you've gone to a big city, or you've gone on vacation. Who is serving you? Who are those people doing those low level, low wage jobs? Usually it's a very high immigrant population. And the US is most diverse. Why? Because again, we are all immigrants. So what do we want to look at? I mean, our United States is based upon immigration. I mean, that is our history. That is where we started when those first few people came on the Mayflower. Those were immigrants. So that is our tradition. Well, think about the current conversation here in the United States about immigration, about limiting the people who come here. We only want certain people, only from certain places, that only have certain skill sets. Well, why is that? If that is our history and our foundation of our country. Well, a lot of people do not like illegal immigrants. I shouldn't say a lot of people. Some U.S. citizens don't like illegal immigrants. Think about what you hear about them. What are the negative things that you hear? What do you see in the news? Well, some positive things that we can say about immigrants is, again, like I already mentioned, they do some jobs that we don't have the workforce to do. Think about meat. If you look into it, a lot of meat packing plants, I'm not talking about small butchering places like we have here around Clinton County. I'm talking about huge meat packing plants like in Texas and in the southern parts of our country. Think about, again, migrant workers, the service-oriented industries, all those jobs that our economy is struggling to find people to do those work. Immigrants typically fill those roles. They consume products. They're helping to stimulate their economy. They're here, they're buying things, they're shopping, they're paying taxes, and they use fewer government services than a typical citizen. And that is because of fear of being found out. So I have a story for you. So whenever I used to work a different job, I had a young man that I was helping trying to get into college that his parents were illegal immigrants. And because of fear, they very rarely went to the doctor. They were victims of some criminal acts, but they never went to the police department out of fear of being persecuted or, sent back home. So one day I was working in my office and the mom came by and her son wasn't with her. And she didn't speak very much English and said, I have something for you. And so she pulls out of her purse this wad and it was wrapped in paper towels and I didn't know what it was. And she said, I need you to take this. I need you to take this. And I'm like, and basically through her broken English, she got out that she had found a wallet in the grocery store parking lot, and she wanted to take it to the police department, but she was afraid to do so because she was afraid that they would think that she had stolen it. So I told her that I would take it up there. And after she left, I unwrapped it. And there was probably about $500 worth of cash. There was credit cards. I mean, it was a men's wallet. It was super thick. And so I ended up taking it to the police department and I told them I couldn't tell them where I got it. And it got to the rightful owner and they were very thankful. But just think of that fear every day walking around being scared. Was a local family that worked on a local dairy farm. They were paid very little. They didn't have a lot of money at all, and they worked for several different farms. I mean, they moved around and worked for these different farms. But that's the life of the immigrant here in the United States, a sense of fear. Um, and they don't go to the doctor. They don't go places. They don't have access to, because they're not citizens, they did not have the ability to get food stamps or be able to, have a medical card and all of that. Now, they did have a couple of children that were citizens because they were born here in the United States, and those children did have access to the medical card and food stamps, but not the illegal aliens. So we have to think about the impact of um, of inequalities of race and ethnicity and how people are treated, not only here in the United States, but globally. Because this isn't just an issue that we have here in the US, it's an issue that we have globally. How do we treat people? How do we value them based upon these categories? Remember, these categories that we make up and we decide who goes into these categories. What happens? What is the effect of on these people's lives when they are put in these categories based upon how they look, how they talk, and where they come from? So that's the end of chapter 9. Please remember to go into those course resources under chapter 9 and watch the 4 videos that are there. They're very important to make the connections in this chapter.